Hey everyone, George here, the Disney Italiano, coming to you with another recording in an undisclosed location because at the time of this recording, it's my birthday week and we're going to get it popping with my birthday weekend. And speaking of which, my guest today, who will be joining for my birthday weekend celebration, we got Tommy Tune in the house. How you doing, bro?
Man, what's up, George? Thanks for having me on, man. Happy early birthday. Man, it's coming
Thank you.
quick. I know you got a lot going on.
Oh man, so much. I mean, literally, I seen you in Vegas, and now I'm about to see you in California. It was like a whirlwind, like going to Universal Horror Unleashed, and then literally traveling from Vegas straight to go Oogie Boogie, and it's like,
Wow, yeah, that is crazy, bro. You're doing it, moving, and you did all the Vegas stuff too. I see you went on the gondola and everything.
oh yeah, we did the gondola at the Venetian. We like resort hopped. We did like all that stuff. I literally went down on the strip and it was awesome. It was my first time in Vegas, so I had to get that first time Vegas experience. But before we actually, that's actually what we're going to be talking about today is the Vegas experience of how we both approached Universal's Horror Unleashed because we both went opening weekend, but you not only went opening weekend, you went opening day. And but before we dive into the conversation, if you want to remind everyone where they could find you on social media.
Yeah, nice, man. So you could find me on Instagram at TommyTune_. That's where I have all my day-to-day stuff you could check out. And then if you want to hit food reviews and Vegas and theme park stuff, it's Tommy Tune World on YouTube. Yep.
Awesome. And so kind of continuing on with the conversation. Now, I'm going to pass it to you because since you went opening day, I don't really know too much of what went on. Like, how was that for you? Like, was there a lot of people? Was there a lot of media? How was your approach of tackling that day?
So, I went into this with two different aspects, creator mode and then a horror fan aspect. There was some minor hiccups that I'm sure people heard about online, uh, creator wise, where you couldn't film the first day, but they fixed all that the second day, and they weren't super strict. It's just they may needed more communication. But if I'm doing this as a horror fan, the opening day and opening weekend was crazy to me, man. That aspect of these actors just interacting with you is my favorite part, almost besides the houses. I mean, that when you went, George, I mean, they're interacting with you and Abby like crazy, man, like nonstop. I don't know. They see someone scared, maybe like Abby, and then they just feed off of it, huh?
Oh, absolutely, because it's the same example when we go to HHN. They feel her presence of being frightened. So like they just like go all in and they're not shy about it. I tell you, there was two scare actors in particular, the giant mantis insect creature thing and the cheerleader. Like they just both went all in on Abby. They just could not stop at like scaring her.
That's funny, and then that's funny now that you mentioned it. You're starting to mention and describe some of the actors. So, uh, the cheerleader and the mantis are silent. Okay, they're silent actors. They kind of get you scared, get you riled up, kind of chase you around, kind of creep you out and stuff. And then there's scare actors that have certain scenes that they start out with, huh? Like
Yes.
you saw like the Queen, right? Did you bow before the Queen?
Oh, I did. Yeah, we had a great interaction with the queen and her henchmen, and also the mortal that was trying to become a vampire to be with the one he loved, who was the vampire that was flying from platform to platform. So it was like a nice little mini monologue kind of thing that was intermixed with this whole experience. And I tell you what, those actors, they are seasoned performers because they didn't miss a beat. They didn't know what I was going to say. They didn't know what I was going to ask, but they
Mhm.
were ready within their character that if I said something, they reacted very well to it. So, I mean, it was done brilliantly.
I agree that that guy that wanted to get turned into a vampire, him and the queen had really good quips. They were ready for whatever, to respond to you as. That guy was pretty funny though. He doesn't go up to everybody, bro. So like I could see like not everybody getting the full story. You just laid out the full story of that corner. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean by like this place has some longevity to it in a sense where you may not get every experience with the actors each time you go through, people may only go once and not experience the queen and get to conversate with them and stuff. I don't know, what do you think, man? What do you think's the overall like outlook of like a daytime like event here? Like, do you think you're lasting like a couple hours, or how long
I
did we
think it
stay?
depends on like what you're liking. I think for me, I want the full package. I want to do the houses, I want the interaction, I want to try the food, I want to see the performances. So I mean, I think I kind of timed it that we were there like 6.5 hours altogether, which I think that was pretty heavy. But now for someone that may just be into the houses and don't want the interaction or what have you, they may be able to do it like within maybe like 2 hours, or so, and then you're out. But for me, I think depending on like the price range for the ticket, I would want to get as much out of it as I possibly can, because again, it's not just going into a scare house, it's supposed to be a full on experience.
And I like the way you put that, and then you said you clocked us in at 6.5 hours. And you know what? To be honest, George, you were ready to buy the Express Unlimited to go through the houses up until 10 p.m., man. You were ready, but it was sold out. So I don't know how they allocate that. It may not look like the building's filled out, and then there's certain passes sold out, man. So, I don't know.
And there's a possibility, and you're right, because I was ready. Like after doing the houses and doing all my filming for the day, I was ready to just go through the houses and just enjoy it as it is. And it was like when they said like they was out like for the day, I'm like, dang, like how can you do me like that? Like,
Right.
But it makes me wonder if they were sold out because there's only like a certain allotted tickets that have that. So
Mhm.
it may not seem like a lot, but if all those tickets get bought out for the day, then you're kind of SOL. If you're not prepared and ready to know, because if I would have known that, I would have made my decision much sooner earlier on in the day.
Right, that too. And then, we're kind of going off of like people's word of mouth. Yeah, we're there on site, like on hand. But like, people are like, oh, this isn't getting the big reception like it's supposed to be. But then the unlimited tickets sold out. So it's just weird. You're getting earfuls from people on this side, and then you're experiencing it this on this side. I don't know. It's just weird. And I understand that it's not gaining a lot of attraction, because there was a lot of more events going on, like Midsummer. But like, what's your opinion on that? Do you think they dropped on a good weekend?
I think honestly, Universal even kind of dropped the ball on that one because I would have never released them Midsummer and Horror Unleashed around the same time. I would have never done it. I would at least space them like a week or two out apart just to kind of give some breathing room. I'm hoping that with Midsummer finally finished and maybe people have trips planned for Vegas, because that's another thing too. And I mentioned this in my live today that Vegas is to a specific market of people.
Mhm.
Not everybody goes to Vegas. So that's a tough draw that when you're having something not only as an attraction from Universal, but also an attraction that only comes seasonally in the parks. So you're
Yeah.
basically having to take an idea that is usually only done during seasonally, make it all year round, and stick it in a city that only has a certain amount of people that go there, and you have to convey people, oh, come to Vegas to experience this. And I remember you asked me during the day that we went together, and you said, would you come back and do this again? But I didn't have an answer for you right away because I wanted to kind of get a little bit of a gist of what everything was about. But after I did, I said I would. I would definitely come back. But the caveat to that is I wouldn't just do a specific trip just to go do that. Like living in California, I wouldn't travel all the way to Vegas just to do that. I would do it again, but I would want to wrap it around like if I was already going to Vegas or I had something else planned, I would throw that into the mix with my schedule. But
I like the way you put that. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's another themed bar area to add to all the other themed type of bars in Vegas that people can choose from now. You know, like there's tons of different places to get a drink. And I think this place is going to be able to be there for them. I'm just wondering for Universal what they want to take home from this, you know, like are they just expecting a percentage of HHN fans to arrive here and then they're okay with that amount of profit, or are they really trying to get the horror genre and get, you know, that type of fan base? But for now, I'm wondering now, George, are you or will you travel to Chicago next year if, let's say you didn't get a media pass? So what if you're paying with your own money? Would you go to Chicago?
See, that was actually going to be my next question, because now Universal is going to have to tackle something bigger, because now they're going to place another one in Chicago, and Chicago is a lesser draw than Vegas, you know? So it's like, what do you do? And then that also begs the question, are there going to be different houses? Are there going to be different experiences? Or is it going to be replicas, but they're just placing them in different areas for locals to experience? See, because that's also a thing too, because I feel like it can help in one way, but then it'll hurt in another, because you would then have a situation where after so long, people are going to get burnt out of doing the same houses over and over again. And also too, I think another thing that hurt them releasing Horror Unleashed now is not even just with Midsummer, but just releasing it during the time when they start the Halloween season in the parks. Because now people are already anticipating on going to HHN in Hollywood, HHN in Orlando. I would have honestly opened Horror Unleashed during a time outside of the Halloween season. I would have maybe opened it, even though I'm glad we enjoyed it when we did. I'm glad we experienced it. I'm glad we did it together. I got the content and everything. But I mean, as a company, I would have waited a little bit, honestly, maybe until all the holidays were over and kick it off like at the beginning of 2026.
Oh, wow. You know, that's a good point that you're saying that there. Universal's almost competing with themselves in multiple avenues. And, you know, Midsummer, they have their big guys, John Murdy and the guy from Florida there. You know, that's the same weekend. That's competing. And then, like you just said, they're competing with themselves with HHN on both coasts. It seems more or less maybe they're just trying to flood the horror market and see if it sticks. I don't know. It seems like they also have maybe a 5-year, 10-year plan for this. Like maybe even next year when Chicago's about to open, they announce like Seattle or New York or Texas or something.
I think you're right. I think they're going to kind of like overlap it. Like right when they were about to open the one in Vegas, they announced Chicago. So probably, yeah, right when Chicago is about to open, they'll mention one in Seattle or Salem or New Orleans. I think that would be a really cool one. I feel like Universal needs to place them in locations that, you know, people are already going to be drawn to. See, with New Orleans, like can you imagine like having one when they're having Mardi Gras? Like, can you imagine the massive amount of people that just go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras alone? But then you're going to open up a Horror Unleashed along with that, and you can incorporate like a lot of like the gypsies and the voodoo and the that kind of like storytelling like intermixed with like the New Orleans culture.
Man, I like the way you put that. I hope they do that. I mean, the Vegas one seems like Sin City vibe, with the carnival, the clown, Jack and everything, and Chance. And then maybe we get that old and abandoned newspaper, building in Chicago. Then, like you said, in New Orleans, something like that. That would be something else, man. Then they could keep those around. It's just, it's hard. Like you said, are they switching out the houses? Actually, speaking about the houses, what are you thinking? Like, what's your ranking of all four? And yeah, I mean, do you want to talk about some of those?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're definitely getting into the houses because that was
Yeah.
another feature that I was very impressed with. That actually is a positive note that Horror Unleashed, I feel anyway, has over HHN in the parks is the queue line is honestly looks like right out of a scene from a movie. Like it looks like a film set. Because our first one we did was Scarecrow. When we went through, I'm like kind of like preparing myself, waiting for someone to jump out. And someone said, no, this is just the queue line. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, okay, like we didn't even walk through yet. And like this is just the queue line, which was phenomenal. I think all the queue lines for all four houses were done really well. Yeah, so let's start off with the first let's start off with the first house, as I mentioned with Scarecrow. It wasn't my all-time favorite one, but I do appreciate the scenes and the scope of how big the location was because it literally made you feel like you were out in a cornfield. Like it didn't make you feel like, oh, you're in a room designed to look like a cornfield.
Man, I agree with you. Like, it was a crazy walkthrough, but like you said, that queue is something else. You walk in, there's like a barn, and then you got the truck with the hay on it. So I see what you mean. You're just waiting for someone to come out. And actually, they could benefit off that eventually adding a scare actor to the queue, kind of keeping the crowd excited, if you kind of get tired or burning out. But anyways, yeah, that house, I have to admit, it stands up to being my best house. I liked it each day I went. I went 3 days. I thought Scarecrow was my favorite each 3 days. Man, dude, I loved walking through the first part of the corn maze, not the end with the sticky corn stalks, but the first one with the guy in like the all grass like garb, and it looks like they're blowing smoke, and you're like stuck in the dust bowl or whatever. It's at nighttime. That was so sick, dude. That was probably one of my favorite parts. And I noticed each house does a small scene where they kind of stop you and then you have to watch it. And to be honest, I only got the scene once in that house for Scarecrow, and it was my first walkthrough of the first day.
Yeah,
they shut down that room. Yeah,
because I was anticipating on those scenes because I had watched like previous videos, like kind of like just to get an idea of what to expect. And I saw that there were scenes where you're placed in the middle of this. And I'm like, okay, we went through all these, but where are the scenes? And I think I only experienced one scene, and it was in the classic Universal Monsters, but it wasn't even the full scene. It was kind of rushed where Frankenstein was, electrifying the monster to bring him to life. But we'll get to that in a little bit because I'm going to do each house one at a time. But I do agree with you. I do love Scarecrow. It's not my top one, but it's definitely like in the, I'd say, trying to think all the houses. I'd say number 2 for me. Scarecrow is number 2.
And that's the original. And I'm pumped to see the Hollywood version, bro, because it's going to be Slash, his record playing.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, dude, I can't wait to see how different it is. This structure looks pretty permanent though for Scarecrow. Do you agree? Like at
That
horror,
I
it looks
agree.
pretty permanent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that I agree. There were some ones that like seems like it's permanent. Then there were a few others that look like okay, they could easily like take out to put something else in, which that's kind of good in a way where you can kind of keep some fan favorites, but then mix it up and add something something new. But being that I did mention the classic Universal monsters about like with Frankenstein and stuff, that one actually is my top one. That one's my favorite. Just because of the nostalgia of how they utilized all the classic monsters in their own section. So they had like a mummy section, they had Frankenstein, they had Dracula, they had, I mean, hell, they even went to the Hunchback and the Phantom of the Opera. Like, I mean, that was done really well.
Yeah, they had some deep cuts in there, right? And then, I'm always looking for the Creature of the Black Lagoon and the Mummy, and I'm happy that they integrated all them well. Yeah, that queue is pretty permanent. So maybe Scarecrow and Universal Monsters, those stay,
Hmm.
and then the other two leave. But yeah, Universal Monsters is crazy. Like right when you walk in, they have like Wolfman, but there's two of them, and one's fake, but one's a scare actor, right?
Yes.
And I forgot every time that the scare actor was there, man. And I always get
I
it
it
was a
got
jump
me
out.
too, it got me too because I looked up and I'm like, oh, it's like, is someone supposed to be up there? Because it's a dummy. It's just sitting
Yeah.
there. And you turn the freaking corner, and then there it is. I'm like, oh damn, like that is like that's intense. And here's the thing too. Now, my ranking of the houses may change because I only did the houses once. And I did
Mhm.
it while I was in the middle of recording. So there is a possibility, when you do it a second time or sometimes even a third time, your perception may change based off of like your experience. But as of right now, yeah, like the monsters is number one for me, and Scarecrow is a very close second, definitely.
Yeah, man, that part when you walk in and you're kind of like greeted by Dracula. He's there like, basically like talking, doing his taunting, and then, the bride, or I don't know who comes out, but someone comes out on the side. Is it Dracula's wife or the
It
bride or
was
something?
like, yeah, I think it was a female like vampire.
Mhm. That
Yeah,
was sick, dude. That
yeah,
scene always gets me too. I was like, man. So like Universal is definitely up there. That's probably my second favorite. Yeah, those probably close running, Scarecrow and Universal, like you said, man.
yeah, absolutely. Now, my third favorite is actually the one that is like the freakiest of all shit. And it's actually The Exorcist. Uh
Ooh.
that one, I tell you what, like that has some intense scenes. Like, but I appreciate Universal's risk of how they literally took scenes from the movie and incorporated it into an attraction because that franchise is not easy to do. Because I mean, there's a lot of disturbing aspects to that, just in the movies alone. So for you to actually bring that into an attraction that's supposed to be thrilling, like how do you like separate that? But I mean, like that one for me, as I said, I don't get scared easy. Like I don't like really get like, oh my god, like jump scare or something. Like I might get like a little bit like, oh, it disturbed me kind of thing. But it was more intense of the scenes, like where you see like the girls being possessed and trying to get the demons out of them and everything. It was just like it was freaky.
Yeah, the Exorcist believer holds up. So I always started out with I know the movie tanked, but this movie created a fantastic house. I mean, I saw the first house 2 years ago at HHN. The house came out before the movie, so you were super anticipating the movie. Then they announce it for this, and people are like, But man, this is by far the scariest house there. And if they didn't have this, I don't know what they would have that would equal to this. Maybe Poltergeist. But the thing with Exorcist is that you have these little kids that are like demonic, and they're kind of just like ruining your night. Like you said,
you see like not the wanted signs, but like the missing child papers. Like, where is this child? And it's like,
yeah, eerie as all can be. They have you start out, and the cue is when you're in Haiti, when part of the movie's in Haiti, and it's so much more detailed. But this is what George was saying. This possibly doesn't have to be permanent. You could almost remove this cue and put a new house in, right? In this location.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. This is one of the houses that you can, I would feel anyway, that they can like remove and add something else in there. Because again, I think it would be to Universal's best interest to do that, especially if they do get a lot of locals there. Locals are going to get sick and tired of that real quick, like after having the same thing over and over again. It's cool, but like if you were to do that like constantly, like it just becomes monotonous. So I think in time they will probably change it out. Would you say The Exorcist is number 3 on your list as well, or is it your last?
So, I mean, scare factor is number 1, but you know, and it's pretty long too. You know what? I ought to probably have to say Texas is number 3, but Exorcist is the scariest, and that's why I'm going through it, and that's why I'll always have it like on hand, ready to go through it. To me, is like you need that frightening one, that demonic one, and if we don't have that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're trying to hit different aspects in this Horror Unleashed, and you know, Texas is the slasher, you know, so I don't know what could go here though, but maybe keep it a Blumhouse property, huh? If they change it out, just since that's Blumhouse too, yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. And I have to correct myself because I said I only saw the scene from the classic Universal monsters. We did get to see the full scene with them trying to release the demon from the child sitting on the chair. And like, again, intense.
Dude, you're in the movie, bro. And it's sketchy too, because the actor's like poking her head out of the curtain before you go through it. So it's like a normal walkthrough at first, and then you're like, "Oh man, she's what is she doing? What is that?" And then she's in her part, in her acting, and she's like, "Come in, come in, come in." And she's like stuffing us in a corner, and then they start the scene, and you're like, "Oh man, I can't leave."
Yeah, it's like you can't move. It's like you have to watch it, and it's like,
yeah,
it's crazy. So now my number 4, which is now your number 3, as you were mentioning for the slasher, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think the reason why this is number 4 for me, I still enjoyed it, but I felt like there wasn't like a lot going on. I feel like it was more humans just kind of like scaring you, like where do I go? You know, like who's out there? You know, and then you have like how many versions of the Texas Chainsaw, and it's just like it didn't really do anything for me. But it was, you know, it was cool. But I just feel like if there's one house that I think would go first, it would probably be that one.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that. That's a good point you said, George. So this is based on the 1974 film, and these humans, these people that are jumping out, are just the kids from the van that end up getting, you know, by Leatherface, right? So right. I see what you mean. And bro, we just missed the scene. Right when I was walking in, I saw them slam the door. So the group ahead of us got the scene, but it's a woman actor that's all bloody and super scared. And she busts out through a door and she looks around, and then she's basically getting chased by Leatherface. And then he does this crazy saw dance, and then they both run through the door. So, you know, that is one good thing when you get the unlimited walkthroughs, because you never know what you're going to get, just like how it is at HHN in Orlando and Hollywood. You never know where the actors are at timing-wise, or even if they're on break, each scare spot may not be there. George may have gotten more of the human teenager people jumping out than the whole family, of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And that's all right, because that means if he goes back, his experience will probably be different. And that's the one thing with these is it'll always be the same walkthrough, but you'll get different experiences.
And they have to do that. And I think that's very smart because, again, you want to have different experiences. You don't want to have the same typical, oh, that door is going to slam. Oh, someone's going to jump out right there. It's like if you're like literally telling yourself where everything and where everyone's going to be, it's like, okay, you've done it so many times and it's basically, it's typical, like of where everything is at. It's like, that's not a good thing. So you want to keep everybody on their toes to like, oh shoot, I just did this, but I just experienced a whole complete different setup and layout, and I got scared with that instead of this, and like that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. That's a good thing for sure. And while you were talking, you kind of hit some points, and I was thinking like, the frequent fear passes they have for Horror Nights in Hollywood and stuff, that feeling from a horror fan that you get that you have a pass that you could go to somewhere for like 2 months and you're going to get these experiences. I feel like this is the note that Universal was trying to hit for this, is people waking up like, oh, I'm in Vegas, let's do a haunted house. I hope it hits the note, because I would love to see this stay open and thrive,
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it has potential. Universal just has to keep up with it and not just rely on their laurels that it'll be fine. You don't want it to just be fine. You want it to keep on hitting those notes of every time that we go to HHN every single year during the Halloween season. You have to bring that A game with this, but around the clock. You have to keep it fresh. You have to keep it new.
Keep it fresh. And since they have that Blumhouse contract with the house and Premier House, the restaurant, they really should just do what Disney does and what Universal does at the parks. And if they're having Black Phone 2 drop in October, they should have the Grabber come there, and they should announce it on their Instagram as like, now the Grabber will be lurking around Horror Unleashed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They should like pump up the movies there too. Even have like a night like, oh, it's Black Phone 2 night or something. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They need to do, sort of like where you had mentioned Disney, where with Marvel, of how they promote new shows and movies like integrated the same week into Avengers Campus. Like that's what they can do with Horror Unleashed. Like with a new movie coming out to kind of promote the movie, but kind of gives a little bit of extra to get people into the facility. Yeah, add maybe like new scare actors just for that opening weekend, or do something kind of different, just to, again, keep it fresh, keep it new,
And that brings you in and brings the people in that I've already been multiple times too. I'd be like, oh, I want to go because Black Phone 2 is coming out. That movie looks good. So let's go see what they have, to offer.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to HHN at Universal Hollywood this year, did they announce all the houses? Are they officially completed?
So everything has been announced except one thing, and it seems like no one cares except me. So I don't know why I keep bringing it up, but it's what's going to be in the DreamWorks theater.
Okay. You know what? That's a very good question. Honestly, I think honestly, a lot of people aren't really caring about it, but I am very curious to know what is it. I mean, they used like Late Night with Chucky, which I'm sorry, I enjoyed that immensely. I wish that they were bringing that back this year. I thought it was freaking hilarious. I mean, Chucky is the one horror character that would fit a late night show routine. Like it worked out just perfect. So the fact that I can't say they're not bringing it back because they didn't make no announcement of anything. Maybe they are bringing it back. I don't know what else they could possibly um, be doing with it. Actually, I would vamp it up a little bit. What I would do is have Chucky, but also bring out Tiffany as well.
They need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's a fan favorite, and that will add a lot of aspect to it. Because a lot of people didn't like the show, which I don't know why, but I feel like they said Japan this year is doing the Chainsaw Head manga, but we never get the same thing. But then we're getting that bear that's destroyed. I'm gonna butcher his name, but the Hamikuma bear or whatever. So Wizard was even saying we may get that. But man, I could see them bringing back the Chucky show just because they have everything. And if they put Tiffany in there, that's intriguing. That would bring me in for sure.
I just feel like if it was something brand new, it would have been announced by now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I just wonder if it's just going to be Late Night with Chucky again. And like they're not really announcing it just because it's not a new announcement. So it's like while people are already there, it's like, hey, here's Late Night with Chucky again. I actually enjoyed that over the Purge at Waterworld. I feel like the Purge is strong, but I just feel like in the Waterworld setting, it didn't fit right for me.
Mm-hmm. So they're both good people eaters. Waterworld's a good people eater. I mean, it fits tons of people, and you can kind of rest and sit down, maybe recharge your cell phone, kind of just collect your thoughts from all that adrenaline. But I get it. It's the same thing, and it actually is. They added, I think, one new scene last year, and I could be wrong, so I may be butchering it. But I'm trying to think. I feel like 2 years ago, they were just like the DreamWorks Theater is just the house of Blumhouse or the actions of Blumhouse or interactions or something. And then we got in there and they were like, oh, here's the Five Nights at Freddy's and here's the Megan show. And even last year, I feel like they were like, oh, it's just Late Night with Chucky. And no one really even knew what was going to be, so maybe they'll just try to do something random or it might just be a repeat. But I would hope it's not a repeat just because we're getting the Terror Tram with Blumhouse. That's a repeat. They're changing up some things, and then Purge is a repeat.
Right. Yeah. Me personally, for them to utilize the Waterworld, and I get it. I don't know how much of a storyline that they can stretch with it, but maybe they can do a new adaptation of Creature from the Black Lagoon. Like, I think that would be really cool to utilize the Waterworld set, that you could have like a stunt performer in the creature costume, but he like dives into the water and pops up and everything. I think that would have been really cool.
Yeah, and I actually saw John Murdy being interviewed, and he did say that he has work for the Creature of the Black Lagoon house, not a water show. I'm right there with you. I've actually said that before. I would love to have a water show with that. I mean, I don't know why it has been implemented. I don't know if Universal's like, they're taking chances though, so might as well just take the chance with him now, right? If they're doing,
there was a platform done at Epic Universe that was supposed to be for a Creature of the Black Lagoon water ride. So it wasn't implemented. It was supposed to be connected to Dark Universe. They still have the expansion pad there. It's just, I wonder if they're gonna if it is going to become Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm very curious.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
Yeah, because the only representation that he has in Dark Universe is just a really quick cameo scene in Monsters Unchained. And it's like, I feel like that he needs a bigger part, a bigger role. He needs his own attraction. And I think, honestly, a water ride, a really creepy, dark, scary water ride, I think would be awesome.
I mean, good point. His only representation at Horror Unleashed is in the house, and he's only in 2 scares, and they're right back to back before the Mummy.
And he's a monster that does well dwelling in the water. I feel like if he's just standing there, it doesn't feel like a threat. That's like putting Jaws out and into the sun, and he's laying a big ass 25-foot shark just sitting on the pavement. It's like, it's not intimidating. You put that sucker in water and he's a threat. That's
Right.
how I feel like the creature is, like, in the Black Lagoon, because hell, it's in the title, the creature from the Black Lagoon. It's like you gotta implement the water feature there.
Yeah, especially in the house, and then even what you said for Dark Universe. So hopefully they bring it soon, man, because that character is underutilized. I don't know if they just don't think his appearance sells well, or I don't know what it is, or the merch doesn't sell. But
It's something. Yeah, I
right.
don't get it myself, but I think, hey, if they bring him in a big way, maybe the merch will sell. Give him a chance. But I wanted to ask you too, because you had mentioned, like, a lot of people didn't enjoy the Late Night Chucky show, not knowing why. People just didn't like it, and I'm curious your take on this, because I've asked this to several people, because when we went to HHN last year, we did the Express, and it was the higher tier Express where we got in before anybody. Um, do you think that plays an effective part of how people perceive these things? Because if someone is waiting 2 hours for the Late Night with Chucky and they get in there and they're like, okay, I stood in line for 2 hours for this, that may be a different feeling, where I enjoyed the show, but I walked right in. So I'm wondering if it's not necessarily the content of what is being produced for HHN, but it's the expectation that we are expecting, depending on how long we're waiting. What's your take on that?
That is a very good viewpoint, because that is almost implemented every time I go through a house. Like, I wait in line for a house, and then I go through and all the actors aren't there. I'm like, well, I just waited in that, and I barely got what I wanted. So for the Chucky, now that you're saying that, for them to implement that, like, how it's basically almost the same structure every time with the talk show host, and then he gets Chucky riled up and this and that, and then Chucky kills somebody behind the scenes and stuff, and they have somebody from the crowd and stuff. I feel like maybe they just wanted more interactions, and maybe the notes didn't stick. And I'm not sure the time limit, but I think it was a little short. But from what you're saying, I could even talk about what you're comparing even to FanFest nights. I waited in line to meet Luffy from One Piece, and it was like a 45-minute wait. I could have used that time to go back through Star Trek or Dungeons. So it is to each its own, and you never know if people feel like they get their money's worth if they're picking something that they weren't satisfied with. So I definitely understand what you mean. It's almost like a catch-22, and depends on the night and depends on the person type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And that's where it becomes now, like, we're going to do HHN. I'm probably going to do HHN like twice this year, because we got our free ticket that comes with our Platinum Pass. So obviously I'm going to use that. And then I may do one that has a higher end, like with the Express. But I'm very curious to see my thoughts on the process with just a baseline ticket. And I'm going to be standing in line with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and I'm going to be waiting like several hours just to do a 8-minute walkthrough in a house. So I'm very curious to see how that goes. But I definitely want to experience RIP next year. I wasn't prepared for it this year, but I definitely want to do it with you guys next year for sure.
Let's do it, man. RIP is always something else, and they always get you through everything. And then, it's always good to start out early, because the event doesn't start till 7. But if you get that 5 to 7 range of the start time for the RIP, then you go eat at the buffet, and then you get the show and the party going. So for me, I always like starting out with that, but I know it's a little pricey. So, but if we're doing general admission, I would always recommend getting early entry, just so you're in the park and you could get to those houses before the main crowd gets there. They
We
open
did
at
that.
least.
We did that
Go
last
ahead,
year
yeah.
too. We did
Great.
that last year too, and we were in the park. I think at like 2 p.m. and
Okay.
and we were able to do what were the two houses? It was Ghostbusters and it was the one
So they had The Weekend, Texas, Ghostbusters, and Insidious.
Insidious. That was it. We did
Yeah.
Insidious. Insidious was the first one we did, and then Ghostbusters. We knocked both of those out before the party even started because we
Right. And
basically combined like getting the early access on top of the express.
that's smart. And that's a good way to do it. Yeah. There's that 2 p.m. ticket that gets you into like Super Nintendo World and all that stuff. And then there's that early entry ticket that's separate that gets you in at 5:30. That's like $20. That's the one I usually do. Like you said, knock out 2 or 4 of the houses and try to get those done because you may not get through all the houses if the line's long. You may not get your show. It's hard to knock everything out and eat and do everything you want. So, like, HHN, it's worth and it's warranted going multiple days, man, for sure.
Definitely. Now I want to ask you, and I know I think I have asked you this before, and I think you've mentioned it before, but just for the sake of the conversation, because we're talking, HHN and Horror Unleashed and everything, what is the most anticipated house or activity this year at HHN that you're looking forward to the most?
Whew. So I have 3 anticipated houses. Most terrifying, I have 2. It's Terrifier, of course. Art the Clown, that gore is going to be rough. But then Poltergeist, to me, that may be up there with like Exorcist. They're bringing it back, but with some tweaks. So, John Murdy probably made it even scarier, more frightening. But my most excited type of house is probably WWE. And then I'll even throw Five Nights at Freddy's in there. So I have 4 houses, man, because these are going to be fun. I'm going to get scared probably from the jump scares, people just coming at you. But these are going to be like one of those story-driven ones that I just really want to get through. And I love eating all the food and trying the theme foods. They do really well there. I just hope nothing sells out. You know what I mean? And I hope it's not like a heat wave like how it was last year, man. It was extremely hot. And those houses get hot. It's not like Horror Unleashed when you're in an air-conditioned warehouse.
I know, because
It's crazy.
you're outside in the park and you have to go on the escalators down to each, section, like back and forth. That could be rough. And I remember we did HHN last year, but it was later on in the season, around the time it was Halloween. At the time of this recording, Abby and I just got done doing Oogie Boogie last night. And what really sucks was we were planning on wanting to do it again, and it's completely sold out. It's completely it's done for the whole entire season. And it's like, well, damn, that kind of sucks because our Oogie Boogie experience for this year is over. Like, we can't even do it in September. We can't do it in October. It's all gone, which, I mean, that's great for Disney. I mean, obviously the popularity for it is still there, but that's the one thing I can appreciate for Universal is like you could still have a chance to do multiple times, like throughout the Halloween season.
Yeah, and Universal's pretty good with that. They know this is their moneymaker. They know this is their prime time that everybody comes, and they basically prepare for this. To me, it's like they set up one new attraction or one event a year and then HHN. So that is a little nerve-wracking, though, for Oogie Boogie, man. I'm glad I got my tickets. Last year, they sold out, too. I kind of hopped on late, and I was going to buy them, but this year, I was locked in buying the tickets when I was at the airport one time. I think it was at the end of June. So, yeah, I'm pumped to go to Oogie Boogie. Well, George, if Oogie Boogie's not open, this just leaves open. Not Scary Farm, man. That's the place to be.
That's it. Yep, definitely. Not Scary Farm and Fright Fest for sure. Definitely want to check that out. And then one of these years, I want to check out the Queen Mary. I think that would be interesting.
Me too. I heard it's pretty scary, and like you said, it's very interesting. It's on a ship.
Yeah,
I've been to a concert on a ship, and they made me climb up a ladder, and I kind of like hit my head going through one of the holes. So I hope, I'm butchering it. I'm a novice, so I assume Queen's Mary's not like that, and people already know how it is. So I'll just go back and watch videos. But yeah, my buddy that works at Disney told me Queen's Mary is extremely fun.
yeah, yeah. I definitely want to check that out. Might not be able to do it this year, but maybe next year. Maybe next year for that. But going back to what I asked you, like what you were anticipating. For me, I think I'm with you. I think that the scariest is going to be the anticipation of the Terrifier and Poltergeist for sure. Because I mean, if they bring any scenes from the Terrifier films, that's going to be like freaky. Like I don't even know what to expect with that.
Right.
But I think my most anticipated and actually very curious of how they do it, because if it's done well, that might be one of the best houses is the Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm very curious to see how they do this because actually I thought it was going to be a show that was going to go into the theater. That's what I
Wow.
thought it was going to be. But the fact that they said this is going to be a house just like amplified it like even like 10 times bigger.
Right. So are you cool with it being a house, or would you have rather wanted it to be like a fan fest experience like Dungeons and Dragons? I'm hearing the fan base divided, but the majority are saying they wanted a house. But I'm actually now seeing that maybe Universal integrates something like they do at Horror Unleashed, where one scene shuts down, the room real quick, and then they kind of act that out. But then again, it's a conga line, and they're trying to rush people through. So I don't know. What's your opinion?
See, that's the thing with Five Nights at Freddy's because I feel like it would do well with both. To be honest with you, I think it would do really well as a show, especially if they like drop the lights and it goes pitch black, and then you have spotlights on the mechanical creatures, so to speak. That would be freaking awesome. But then to get that up close and personal in the house, I think that would be really well done. I think here's what I would do. I would do the house, and obviously, as you said, in a theme park setting, they're going to have to rush people. But this is where Horror Unleashed would benefit by putting Five Nights at Freddy's in that, because then you can have the best of both worlds where you can have it as a house and you can block it off and have a scene, because then you're not having that theme park demand and people can still enjoy it.
And the scene should be when they're all singing, and all of them are animatronics except that one scare actor, and then they come out and then they try to attack you or something. That would be it, bro.
That would be that would be awesome. That would be so cool.
And it's a Blumhouse property, bro, so they could change out Exorcist Believer and then throw that in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like that'd be perfect. And honestly, they can use HHN kind of as the guinea pig to see what would work. I actually thought it was going to be the other way around. I thought Horror Unleashed was going to be the guinea pig for HHN. But now after experiencing it, that it's a permanent homestay there, I feel like HHN is the guinea pig because it's only there during once every year for a season. They can see how popular something is in the theme park demand and say, you know what, ship it over to Vegas, ship it over to Chicago. This is going to work, and that's how it keeps the cycle moving. That's going to get people to say, you know what, let's plan a trip out to Vegas for Horror Unleashed. Let's plan a trip out to Chicago and maybe experience this. That again, going back to got to keep it fresh, got to keep it new. And that's where they both would kind of complement each other. HHN for Horror Unleashed and Horror Unleashed for HHN.
Man, well said, well put. And now that you're saying that, kind of sparked my my memory. I feel like Jack the Clown and Chance are a really good selling point to bring the Floridian people over, like the Florida dwellers, because that's their mascot. and maybe they miss him and they want to see it. Because to be honest, I mean, we never really had Jack at Hollywood, and to see him over here on like the West Coast, kind of in Vegas is something else, bro. I just would not expect it, and he's very adult. I mean, what did you think about the Jack show at Horror Unleashed, bro? I know we're kind of bouncing backwards, but it was pretty long too. I mean,
it was long. The thing that I felt was a little bit underwhelming with that is depending on where your placement was of standing to actually see what was going on, because there were certain things that were happening on both sides of the stage, and depending on where you were, you couldn't really see all of it. But they're still acting with it, so it's like, okay, what are they reacting to? I can't see what they're doing. And it felt like it was just a little bit, as you said, it was long. I felt like it was a little bit too long. I felt like they were beating around the bush with it. I do like how they started out from one section to the other. That was really cool. I felt like the first part where we were in like the dining area where they had like the dance and the music and everything. That was really cool. I felt like the second part was the kind of like the dragging point for me.
That's very well put. I went there 3 days, and the show went on multiple times a day, and I only saw the bar area part once, and that was with you guys. So I lucked out. Yeah, that was very fun. But I see what you mean. Like, it kind of drags on a lot, and they had the same thing. Maybe they'll try to trim it down. Maybe they'll try to figure out how to interact more with the crowd, because that is intense. And they actually shut down Scarecrow because that show's on. So it's like they force you into watching that show. I wonder, that must have been hard to come up with in the lab, behind closed doors. Like, how do we get people to focus on the Jack show? I guess trim down one of the houses, right?
Yeah, because I feel like out of the two, I don't think people really would have cared about it too much, to be honest with you. And I feel like, unfortunately, as time goes on, people are going to be less and less enticed to stick around and watch the whole thing.
Agreed, man. That's what I'm saying. They try to implement this as part of the experience. But if you're not into that type of structure of a show, then you're out of there. But if I'm eating and I'm chilling and all of a sudden this just happens to me, I may feel different about it,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Which, speaking of which, you said sitting down and eating. I have to say, we got to eat in what's the restaurant called? Is it just I know it's Bloomhouse, but it was called something.
Premier House.
Premier House. We ate at the Premier House, and I have to say, you had mentioned it. Our buddy Sean, Ranking the Mouse, had mentioned it, that the food is like top notch. And I have to say, now from trying it myself, there was not one thing on the menu that we had that I didn't like. Honestly, everything there was like top notch. And dare I say it, the food was better than what they actually have in the theme parks, if I'm going to be honest.
100%. So Universal Studios theme park food is a hit or miss for me. Yeah. But Horror Unleashed, they definitely brought like the Vegas foodie vibe to it, because they really structured it. And then even almost like Epic Universe, it looks like they stepped it up to a level like that at one point, where they need this theming knocked out the park, and they need the flavoring good too. And it's funny because this restaurant, you have to, it's a sit down, and then it's a reservation almost if they're full or they're booked. It's almost like exclusive, because what if the place gets packed? You're not going to get a seat.
Exactly. That is true. It is a very kind of tight quarters. That if it's a full house and you're shoulder to shoulder, like, good luck if you get a reservation, and you better get there like hella early and put in your slot time. Otherwise, you're not eating.
Right. Well, so what did you get to eat? I remember you had the chili cheese fries, right?
The chili cheese fries were really good. Those were legit. Yeah. The portion size was really really big, surprisingly big. I mean, you really get bang for your buck. You and I probably could have split one, and we probably
Right.
still would have had fries left over.
Right, right.
I also got what else did I get? I got the chicken sliders. And then Abby got I think it was the pulled pork sliders. Um, I enjoyed it. It was like it had like a sweet tangy, but still has a little bit of a kick to the sauce on the chicken. Mine also had pickles on it. I love pickles. I know a lot of people out here on the West Coast don't like pickles, and I'm like, to one's their own, but like Abby is one of them. Like she doesn't like pickles. So I basically eat hers. So um and then what else? Then she got what was
Shumai,
the
right?
shumai. Yeah, I forget what it was. That I had one of them. They were really good. Um those were good as well. Yeah, it was just like everything was just top notch as far as food quality goes. I was very impressed.
So was I. I was very impressed. I actually ate at Premier House 3 days in a row too, so I got my well's worth of that place. So I'll definitely go back and eat there. I just wish. Oh shoot! I just wish that there was a door on the outside, man. Like we were talking about it. I don't know. They keep the restaurant so exclusive. Like, you only could eat in there if you buy a ticket to the event.
That's another thing too. Yeah, it's like, and we were talking about it while we were there, and I don't know if it was you who mentioned it or if it was Sean that said even if they had like a cheaper ticket to come in and just eat, but that could get a little bit tricky because of the size of the facility and the size of the restaurant. If you had someone who paid more and they can't get a seat because someone paid less just to get into the restaurant, then there's going to be a whole kerfluffle with that. So I think if they made it bigger and they expanded it, or even if they had like an outdoor dining experience, I know it's super hot in Vegas, but like if they created like an indoor outdoor setting that it's a separate restaurant but still had the same menu, I think that would be really cool. That would be really beneficial.
Mm.
Yeah, if they did something like that. But I think as far as much as people would want to go in just to dine, I think that would tackle a lot of operational issues.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I guess let's just keep it exclusive to the event goers, the people that buy the ticket.
Yeah. Yeah. But I definitely have to say, I am definitely wanting to do it again. I definitely want to experience it again. Next time I want to do it without like reporting on it and recording. I just want to go in and just enjoy myself. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy myself, but like sometimes like without having to look through a lens, you want to get that, full immersive factor to it as well. Um, Before we get out of here, I do have one more final question for you, and this is kind of a big one. This is kind of looking into the future. We're dealing with Halloween season now in HHN and Horror Unleashed. But in your opinion, what would you like to see come that's different into HHN or Horror Unleashed in the future?
Oh,
Coming
I
into
would
the,
like
the mind of Tommy Toon, what would you like to see?
that's a tough one. I never really thought of that. Um, it would be cool maybe to integrate being led through maybe not one of the four houses now, but maybe they structure a house where you're being led by a permanent actor the whole time. Either or, it could be Horror Unleashed or one of the events. But if it was at Horror Unleashed, they would be more detailed and intricate. So, for instance, let's say if Texas was structured like, okay, your group of six, all right, let's go in. Then, right when you walk in, you have the actor, kind of like FanFest, but you get that actor to yourself, like, oh my God, Leatherface is here. Let's go. Be quiet. Follow me. And then you're kind of creeping through with them, and they act out different parts with another scare actor. like Leatherface chasing you through, and maybe even at the end they get killed, they sacrifice themselves for you, like
that would be sick. That would
right,
be
right. So I'm part of the movie at this point. That the more I feel like I'm part of it, the better.
I like that idea. I really do. I think that would do really well in both settings of HHN or Horror Unleashed. Yeah, you're right. They do that during Universal's Fan Fest. They also did that down in Orlando for Poseidon's Fury. They had an actor kind of like move along the story with you, with the Battle of the Gods and everything. And I wish Poseidon's Fury was still there. I was like, they completely did a whole revamp of that, and then they closed it down unexpectedly, along with the Sinbad stunt show. I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I mean, like that was just a shame. But to one's own, I do agree with you. That would be really awesome. And actually, Disney can kind of feed off of that as well, because Disney's all about immersive storytelling. And if they actually wanted to incorporate that with a scare, non-scare kind of aspect, what IP Disney could use that would be freaking awesome of what you just described would be Ichabod Crane with Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, yeah.
Like Ichabod Crane would be your host, and
right.
You have to get through Sleepy Hollow on the night of Halloween, and you're being tracked down by the Headless Horseman.
Oh, man, they could pull that off, bro, if they really sat down and thought about it. Yeah, put the money up.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I really like that idea. I really do. And I think, honestly, both Disney and Universal are very creative at doing something like that, and they can pull it off for sure if it's done correctly.
Universal's close, like we both were mentioning at Dungeons and Dragons and Star Trek and stuff. They're close. They are this close from finishing it. Universal's crazy, man. They did Fan Fest, that's new. They opened Epic Universe, that was new. They're doing Horror Unleashed, that's new. They're really stepping out of their realm and putting up the money and trying to see what sticks this year.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that from them. They're not just sticking what they know. They're going out of the boundaries of, kind of going into Disney territory. And I feel like Disney kind of got a little bit too comfortable with that, because a lot of their late night events and stuff weren't really that good, to be honest with you. So the fact that Universal is kind of putting out like their version, maybe it'll bring Disney back to do, stuff much better. But I will say, aside from Disney's events, I still love Oogie Boogie Bash. I still enjoy it. Abby really loved it. As I said, we were going to go a second time, but there was no tickets left, but we're definitely going to do it again next year. And yeah, I just enjoy like all the Halloween festivities that the parks give us. So hopefully, in the future, we could just get more immersive, more creativity, because it's the best time to be a theme park goer, definitely.
I agree, man. I love the haunt season. I love the Halloween season. Man, for Oogie Boogie next year, you better buy 2 or 3 nights in right when it drops, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like if we're willing or planning to want to go like 2 or 3 times, yeah, we might have to buy those set of tickets like all at once, just like drop them.
Unless they kind of do what we've all been saying and maybe just move over to Disneyland and do Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. And if there's all that construction going on for Coco and Pandora and
that is true.
Avengers.
But here's the thing, I think even more the fact that Halloween hasn't been over at Disneyland for a long time, the hype for that, the tickets, probably the whole season would go just within that one day, within that 1 hour, if they move Halloween over, even if it's just for 1 year, 1 season, 1 time back over at Disneyland. I think honestly that would sell out like hotcakes.
Yeah, it'll probably break the internet. Yeah, that would be crazy because it'd be on the West Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the hype of losing Oogie Boogie, then when it comes back,
right,
it'll be gone.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And we may get the last year of Oogie Boogie for a couple of years. I mean, we never know.
Maybe I'm going sold out. Maybe that's why it's sold out that quick. Maybe it's the anticipation that people think that it may not come back next year.
And Jack is all refreshed, right?
Yes.
Jack Skellington looks fire now. People, they like are diehards for that movie, you know.
Dude,
So
I tell you what, the meet and greet for Jack and Sally, a 4-hour wait. People
but that's like
literally,
that's the whole night.
literally, yeah, they literally do like 3/4 of their time just to get a photo with Jack and Sally.
Man, this is what I'm talking about. It's worth it. It's worth it. These and the costumes are crazy, man. They look very intricate and they almost look like dead on, man. So, you know, I can't wait to see it this year. I'm gonna check out your video after this, man. I'm pumped, man. I'm a first time goer, so your experience is my experience, and I may even take some pointers with me, man.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, we definitely watch the video. It basically shows us like jumping from scene to scene, so to speak, of like how we did the night in order, like from the treat trails to the parade to Villains Grove. So definitely, definitely check it out. And plus, I think you'll just enjoy it. And despite that, it may give you some spoilers of like what
Oh,
to
I'm fine with
expect.
that.
But
Yeah,
I tell you what, especially with Villains Grove, no matter what you see on video, it can't
it's
compare to
nothing.
being in person. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Yeah, I heard that's the main showstopper. Did you try any of the Oogie Boogie foods? Not the Halloween time foods, but Oogie Boogie foods.
So I don't. We did try a couple things, but I think it was just the Halloween time ones. I don't know if it was the Oogie Boogie one. I ended
Mhm.
up getting because I think it was the Mickey Mummy shake over at
Oh,
Schmoozies.
yeah.
That was really good. I enjoyed that. It was basically like a chocolate Oreo fudge sundae milkshake, basically.
Fire. Yeah.
And then I got the spicy chicken sandwich over at the Smoke Jumpers Grill, which I have to say, if you want any food at Smoke Jumpers, they close the doors at 9:30.
Mm.
So even though that the party goes on at 11, that particular restaurant closes down at 9:30.
What party at 11?
So Oogie Boogie. So Oogie Boogie goes to 11 p.m.
Damn, I thought it goes to 1.
That's what I remember back in the time. It was like at 1, and then it moved to 12. Now it's at 11. So it's only going to be from 6 to 11. So that gives you 5 hours.
Hey, that's cool because you know what? The weekend I'm going to opening of HHN, so I know I'm going to be tired, man. I don't need to walk 30K steps that day, so
Yeah,
I'll be all right.
absolutely. Absolutely. But Tommy, it's always a good time having you on. Love talking shop of everything with Halloween, with a little bit of Oogie Boogie, diving into HHN and Horror Unleashed. I tell you, we did a little bit just kicking off the season with Horror Unleashed. I went to Oogie Boogie. You still have to go to Oogie Boogie, but I think the best is yet to come with HHN. I think that's going to be the creme de la creme with all these new houses and everything. And it's going to be a great time. But I appreciate you joining me this evening on Citrico Central. If you want to let everybody know where they can find you on social media, good sir.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on. Like always, like you said, it's always fun talking. I love getting your opinions and hearing these topics. Man, and you're right. I think HHN is the main event. So only time will tell. We're almost there, man. Happy early birthday again. I'll see you soon. You guys can catch me on YouTube, Tommy Toon World. It's where all my food reviews are at. I may start just doing food. I have to crack down and figure out something. I don't know. And then I'm on Instagram at TommyToon_. That's where you can see all my dailies. That's the basic, the best spot to find me, man. So yeah, like I said, man, I'll catch you this weekend for sure.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great time. I can't wait to see you. Can't wait to hang out with everybody. It's going to be a great time for my birthday and all that good jazz. So we're gonna keep the party going. And of course, thank you everyone for joining us today. Please comment down below on any questions, comments, opinions, concerns. All I ask is please keep it civil in the comments. And as I always say, in Disney Italiano fashion, stay safe, stay healthy, stay Wait a minute. I did it again. It's all Universal, baby. Take care.